Hi, welcome back to another video. Today, I want to talk to you about insecurities. We all have them, but they're a waste of time, if I'm being honest. They take up too much of our time, and it's not worth the anxiety that it brings us to just look at someone or look at ourselves and say, oh, I don't know, to have this overwhelming anxiety over what we say or what we look like or how other people perceive us, when in reality we could be spending that time doing something useful, like, I don't know, being grateful for who we are, or that we're here, or that we're on this earth. I think that's a much better use of our time. I think one of the most common insecurities is physical insecurities. It's the way that you look, right? It's the way that other people see you. And I think, just looking in the mirror and being able to point out, 15 flaws, and then looking in the mirror again and asking yourself, what do you love about yourself, looks-wise? It can be hard for us to pick out maybe 5, right? Because we look at ourselves and we rip each other apart. We just point out thing after thing after thing after thing that's an insecurity or that we're not happy with. And it's sad, really, when you think about it, because physically, a lot of the things that you might be insecure about, you can't change anyways. When I think about insecurities that you can't change, I think about the shape of your face, or your nose, or the shape of your lips, the shape of your eyes, the color of your hair, the color of your eyes, the way that your hands, they're too small, they're too big, they're just right, whatever they may be, the size of your body. There's so many things that you can't really change, your height, all that kind of stuff that people are insecure about, that it's just unnecessary. And I get it. I get looking in the mirror and thinking, I don't know if I like that about myself. But you have to look beyond what you see. And what I mean by that is you have to appreciate where that came from, especially with things that you can't change, right? My hair color's brown. Where does this come from? I used to think it was plain, it was boring, it was dull. But where does this come from? It comes from my mother. My mother has dark brown hair with some wave and some curl in it, and that's where I get it from. And when you look at it in that perspective, it's beautiful. When I look at my mother, I think she's unbelievably beautiful. And I would never look at her hair and say, it's dull. But why do I look at myself and say, my hair is dull? The same thing with the color of my eyes. I used to think brown was a dull color, but my mom has brown eyes. And when I look at her eyes, I see beauty. I don't ever see dull, And I don't know at what point I started looking at myself and thinking, whatever, it's not that great. And now when I look at myself in the mirror, I see a piece of my mother in me that I get to carry on, not just for myself, but for my kids and my kids' kids and my kids' kids' kids, and however far down that goes. But that's a piece of her that I carry. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's profound. And I think we need to start looking at who we are in that sort of way. I used to be insecure about the size of my hands because they're shorter, they're small, and they're kind of thick. And I thought, I have my father's hands. And I used to think that was a bad thing, that as a woman, I have my dad's hands. Kind of short, stubby. They're not slender and delicate and frail. They're gloves. And I used to be insecure about that. But now I look at it and I look down, and till the day I die, I am going to have my Father's hands. Even when He's not here, I have His hands. And I think that's beautiful. And I think that's profound. I think that we need to start looking at ourselves in that way. I don't know who has my nose, but it's from my ancestors. That's where it comes from. My freckles, my pale skin, my whatever it is, that comes from somebody who has come before me. And I think that's beautiful. And if you've never looked at yourself that way, I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to look at yourself in the mirror and find something about yourself that you don't really like. And go back to where that came from. Who gave you this, I guess? You know, genetically, where does it come from? And just to have a lot of appreciation that you carry a part of them with you. And change the way that you look at it. Change the narrative. You don't have to look at something and say, it's dull, it's bland. You can look at something and say, this is special. This is something that I get to carry that other people don't. You know, we're all unique. Physically, we all look so differently. And that's a beautiful thing. I think that should be celebrated. Now, that's easier said than done. It's easier to just say, yeah, I love every part of myself. But to actually believe that you love every part of yourself is totally different. And it takes a lot of time. It takes some mental focus. It takes courage to look at yourself in that way and to change the way that you see yourself. To see yourself in a brighter and stronger light. I hope that you make the active decision to change the way that you look at yourself. If you are an insecure person, or there are just things that you don't like about yourself that you can't change, I hope that you find a way to appreciate those parts of you. Being grateful for who you are and where you came from, it changes your perspective on things. It really does. And it brings out a better and happier version of yourself. Just to wrap this video up, a little challenge that I'd like for you to do if you're watching this, and there's something about yourself that you really don't like, that you know that you can't change. I'd like you to look in the mirror and just stare at yourself for a long time. And that might make you uncomfortable. That's good. Maybe you need to be uncomfortable. But to start looking at yourself long enough that you can see something good in what you're looking at. Whether it's your eyes or your nose or your lips or your chin or your whatever it is. You know, I hope that you can find something to be grateful for, or something that you end up appreciating. Your life is too short to be worrying about all these insecurities and all this anxiety about the way that you look or the way that you sound or anything like that. It's too short. And you can take that time and you can use it for something incredible. You can use it for gratitude and courage and things that are going to make you a better human being. I honestly believe that you have the power to change the way that you look at yourself and the way that other people look at you, to stop being so anxious and critical about yourself and have a little confidence in who you are. It changes your day-to-day and it will change you as a human being. I just want to say thank you for watching this video and for coming back for another video. I hope something resonated with you and that there's something that you can take away from this video.